Let's continue our day after Super Tuesday coverage now with our political panel. First, Skyping in from Miami, former advisor to Governor Jeb Bush, Justin Sayfie, and from Newsmax, Washington, currently a columnist for The Hill and a former aide to late United States Senator Lloyd Bentsen, Brent Budowsky. Justin, on the Republican side, a change today, so we'll go to you first. Dr. Ben Carson says he doesn't see a path forward. He's dropping out of the race. Was this the right thing to do, and where do you believe his votes will go?
Well, yes, I do think it was the right thing to do. It's the responsible thing to do. You're in the race for president to win. Once it becomes obvious that you can't win the race, you need to step aside and let those who do have a chance fight it out amongst them. And I commend Dr. Carson both for his campaign and for his integrity in making this decision. In terms of where his votes will go, quite honestly, I don't think any candidate will get all of his votes or even a majority of his votes. I think his supporters are going to be spread amongst the remaining three candidates, Senator Cruz, Senator Rubio, and Donald Trump.
Brent Budowsky, you have an unenviable task right now because you're in the judgment seat when it comes to political judgment in terms of winners and losers, because Real Clear Politics tells us that Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton were the winners, but Marco Rubio and the GOP establishment were the losers. Do you share their assessment of the big winners and the big losers yesterday?
Yeah, actually I would. I think the Republican establishment still, even today, does not have a single credible challenger to Trump and Cruz. It just doesn't exist. Rubio did minimally adequate, but I don't think he showed enough to be that challenger credibly. I think Hillary won on the Democratic side. I also think Bernie did fairly well. And what's interesting, I just saw this today, Hillary raised about $30 million in February. Bernie raised $42 million in February, which is an astounding show of loyalty from his faithful people. But I think definitely if you had to pick a winner, it would be Trump on the Republican side, but he's not nearly as close as the pundits at CNN and other places say to being nominated. And Hillary on the Democratic side, but also think Bernie's hanging in there and still has a way to go.
Justin, Jonathan Last over at the Weekly Standard wrote a column saying that Donald Trump's sweep of Super Tuesday with his 7 victories may not be as great as some folks are saying. Now, Last argues that in the weeks leading up to Super Tuesday, all signs were pointing to the Donald taking all the states. Of course, he didn't take them all. He also missed out on the state with the largest delegate count, Texas. Is there some merit to the claim made by Jonathan Last, in your opinion, Justin?
Well, there is some basis to that, or some good reason for that claim. However, I don't really know what it means long term. Donald Trump has still won more states than the other candidates. Maybe he didn't perform to the level of expectation that some people had for him, but he's leading in delegates. He's leading in the number of states. He's leading in polls in some of the other states that are coming up on March 15th. So maybe he didn't perform as well as some people thought he might. And maybe there's some potential weakness there, but he's still leading in states won and delegates.
Brent, a guy I served with in the Congress, the ex-speaker Newt Gingrich, says Donald Trump made a major misstep with that whole David Duke KKK kerfuffle, but he's going to survive. That seems to be borne out by yesterday's results on Super Tuesday. Why is it that Trump seems to defy political gravity?
Well, I think, first of all, on that, Newt's right. I think it was a mistake. I also think Trump made a big tactical mistake going as personally negative about Ted Cruz. But I still don't buy that he defies political gravity. I'm sure you'll find my column in the Hill newspaper interesting tomorrow, which is about Harry Reid gets the last laugh, because Donald Trump is in danger of losing by such significant margins in the general election. The polls show that to both Hillary and Bernie, that he could take down a lot of Republicans running for re-election in the House and the Senate. So when they say it defies gravity, that is true within the Republican Party. It is not true in a general election. And when I say Harry Reid may have the last laugh, I think a lot of Democrats and Republicans are both worried. Republicans worried I'm right, Democrats believe I'm right, that what Trump does could be so damaging in the general. The Democrats have a tremendous chance of getting control in the Senate for sure, and a long shot chance of getting control in the House, because that gravity Trump does not define for November.
All right, but it's a long way between now and November. To wit, last night, Chris Christie introducing Donald Trump. He says the Donald's victories in that wide range of states really show promise. Let's listen to Governor Christie.
Tonight is the beginning of Donald Trump bringing the Republican Party together for a big victory this November. Tonight is the beginning of Donald Trump bringing the people of our nation together to help America win again.
Well, it's no fun to finish second or on down the list, and there is Chris Christie behind Donald Trump with kind of a somber yet optimistic approach, Justin. But I got to ask you, you look at the video when Trump was speaking, the internet was burning up with a statement that it looked like Christie was being held hostage. Justin, 20 seconds for your take on that.
You know, here's the thing. I think what's so jarring about that is that Chris Christie in the state of New Jersey is the alpha dog. And I think it was kind of weird seeing him in that beta role to Donald Trump's alpha. And I think that's what a lot of people were kind of humoring about.
Yeah, you know, I was flashing back to LBJ and his treatment of Hubert Humphrey after they had been Senate colleagues when LBJ was president and Hubert was his pick for vice president. That subordination is tough. Listen, you guys are second to none. We're going to bring you back and talk more politics. Stay where you are, and you stay where you are, too, as we continue.
We began to unmask the true nature of the front runners so far in this race. 5 days ago, we began to explain to the American people that Donald Trump is a con artist. And in just 5 days, we have seen the impact it is having all across the country.
Marco Rubio last night in Florida, insisting that his one-state victory really gives him a larger platform, and he credits his own campaign for the beginning of the end for Donald Trump. Indeed, all eyes will be on the Sunshine State as the primary arrives there in a couple of weeks in what will be a winner-take-all primary. And with the stage set, as our senior website, our parent website, Newsmax.com puts it, for Rubio, is it in fact Florida or bust? Let's bust through to our panel. Again from Miami, the former advisor to Governor Jeb Bush, Justin Sayfie, and from Newsmax Washington, columnist for The Hill, Brent Budowsky. So, Justin, there you sit in Miami. You're the Florida expert. Can Rubio win Florida?
Well, he can win Florida. He's got less than 2 weeks to do it. He's got 13 days. Our primary is on March 15th here. He was elected as a U.S. Senator in 2010, so he hasn't been on the ballot in 6 years. But he was a Tea Party candidate. However, the polls right now have consistently showed for the last several months Donald Trump leading in those polls. Trump's got momentum coming out of Super Tuesday. Rubio's now starting these aggressive attacks on Trump. And I think that his chance to really get back into the race and to re-energize his campaign could come in Florida if he can find a way to beat Trump in Florida. But right now, I think everyone would say that it looks like it's an uphill battle, but not impossible.
Well, Brent, let me turn to you because the money's pouring in, and certainly the junior senator from Florida has started up the invective and the attacks on Trump. But Trump's got a substantial lead, as Jason pointed out. Does the Donald hang on to win the Florida primary in 2 weeks?
Well, I think what's really interesting about this is how little Donald has come to get the 1,200 plus delegates that he needed. He's still got over 1,000 to go. So I think the media overstates on March the 2nd how close he is. He obviously has a prohibitive advantage. But when we get to the big states on the 15th, when we get to the winner-take-all states, that is where the rubber meets the road. What I found odd about last night is while Donald Trump was winning and basking in the glory, Chris Christie was standing behind him looking like a prisoner of war. And while Rubio did poorly, he was sounding like the heavyweight champion of the world. We only won one state. So I think there's a lot to go between the cup and the lip. I think it's totally wide open. I think we're going to wait and see exactly what Mitt Romney says and doesn't say tomorrow. The next Republican debate tomorrow, they're going to need body armor and a trench coat probably for that one. They'll be throwing so much anger at each other. But it is wide open and very unpredictable. We're still only in the second to third inning of this game.
Well, let me talk with Justin, since he used to work for Jeb Bush. And that whole relationship between Bush and Rubio, still some bruised feelings, I would imagine. But in the 30 seconds left, Justin, do you see Jeb endorsing Rubio sometime in the next 10 days?
You know, I think it's hard to say. I think that obviously Governor Bush and Marco Rubio have expressed admiration and respect for each other. At the same time, there were some very tough moments in the campaign in terms of what they and their super PAC said to each other. Governor Bush's endorsement would be very valued by Marco Rubio, although it's a personal decision, and I really don't know whether he'll do it or not. I think we'll just have to wait and see.
And we will have to leave it there. Justin Sayfie in Miami, Brent Budowsky at Newsmax Washington. Gentlemen, you have our thanks. This reminder, Newsmax TV is your headquarters for the best analysis of the latest political news. So I hope you'll join us tomorrow night for our post-debate coverage. You and I will get together, as I'll be joined by many of the analysts you've come to expect here tomorrow night. The time, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock in the West, right here on Newsmax TV. And we'll be back with more right after this.